We've endured a relentlessly dry season, leaving many livestock farmers struggling to stay afloat. With climate change altering weather patterns worldwide, don't be deceived by the current wet season. In this episode, discover essential strategies to prepare for the next dry spell and ensure your farm thrives. This is NBS Agribusiness at its finest, and I am Alex Mugasha. In the heart of Gomba, where rolling yields in lush pastures once promised abundant nourishment for livestock, the dry season has cast a relentless shadow over the land. The once vibrant fields have withered into dusty expanses, leaving farmers and their animals in a desperate search for sustenance. Dry seasons pose significant challenges to livestock farmers. Reduced water availability, scarce forage, and increased vulnerability to diseases are some of the critical issues that must be addressed, according to Sam Muonge, a leading veterinary doctor in Gomba.
We are in the dry spell. We as the farmers, we have two seasons. We have the dry season and the wet season. So you find that in most cases, under the dry season, most of the farmers lose their animals. And it's due to this case that today I've come to present to you how we take care of our animals during the dry spell. What should we do? What should we avoid during the dry spell? So during the wet season, we always have much rains. And with these rains, we have to utilize these rains in two ways. We first of all harvest the waters in the rain season. We preserve them. In the cattle corridor, we always use the dams. We go in the valleys, we make dams, and we collect this water during the rain seasons. So during the dry seasons, we use these waters to feed our animals, because animals need a lot of water during the dry spell because of the too much heat and the dehydration that they always undergo during the dry spell. So we always plant pastures during the wet seasons. When we plant these pastures, we always preserve them in form of hay and silage. How do we make silage? Silage is always made out of the sugar grains. We always use sugar grains to make silage. So when you are making silage, we chop these pastures after harvesting. When they are still in a raw form, we chop them into small sizes pieces. Then we use the ground silos or the underground silos, any of the silos that you always use, but for us we use the ground silos. We preserve our pastures there. We put there the molasses to act as an additive during the digestion process. This one acts as an additive and it makes digestion easy. It makes digestibility easy for these animals during the dry spell. So we keep these preserved pastures in form of silage that we use it during the dry spell. Then we also have other pastures, because sugar grains is always, it has carbohydrate as its nutritive content. Then we also plant alfalfa, we plant lablab, we plant Clothysia guyana. This alfalfa is highly proteinous. It has a high protein content. So we use this alfalfa, we preserve it in a hay form. After cutting down the alfalfa, we put it under sunlight to wilt, not to dry. We wilt the alfalfa, then we bale it into bales. We preserve it somewhere. During the dry spell, we give these animals this alfalfa, most especially in the morning and evening hours.
The dry spell has not only affected the availability of food and water, but has also heightened the risk of diseases. Without sufficient hydration and proper nutrition, the animals' immune systems weaken, making them susceptible to illnesses. Foot and mouth disease, anthrax, and other ailments loom as ever-present threats, ready to strike at the slightest opportunity.
When we are in the dry spell, we find that our animals will always experience what we call bloat. Bloat is a situation whereby gases accumulate in the rumen of the animal. Remember, we have these animals are ruminant animals. They have 4 stomacher chambers. They have what we call the rumen, the reticulum, the omasum, and the abomasum. So the gases always accumulate in the rumen. What causes this bloat? Bloat is of 2 types. We have what we call the gross bloat, and we have what we call the froth bloat. The gross bloat is the kind of bloat that comes when we feed our animals on pastures. Let me say we are from the wet season or the rainy season, then we come to the dry spell. So under this transition, when the animals are from the wet pastures to the dry pastures, we always experience what we call the gross bloat. Then even when we are transiting from dry pastures to wet pastures, we also experience that kind of bloat. So this bloat is the kind of bloat whereby the feeds will close the passage for food. Let me call it the digestive pharynx. You find that the passage is closed by any foreign material or these passages. So that's why you have to give these animals an adequate water supply to prevent this kind of bloat. Because when it's blocked, you find that the gases cannot freely move out of the rumen. They keep on accumulating, then we have bloat. Remember, bloat can easily kill your animal because bloat is accumulation of gases in the stomach. When the gases accumulate in the rumen, what we get, the stomach becomes enlarged, then it compresses the thoracic cavity. After compressing the thoracic cavity, it brings pressure to the heart. Eventually the heart will collapse. So that's the effect of bloat, and it can easily kill your animal. Another type of bloat is the frothy bloat that I was talking about. This is where the froth covers the ruminal content. You find that the ruminal content is covered, then the gases cannot move out of the rumen to be excreted out. Then you find that the animal is also having what we call bloat. When you find that the animal is suffering from bloat, what do? We observe this animal, then we look at its left pararamba fossa. The left pararamba fossa, what I mean when I talk of the left pararamba fossa, I mean this part here. You find a hole somewhere here. Don't opt for the right pararamba fossa, because when you opt for the right pararamba fossa, it's always the organs that are located on the right side. But we opt for the left pararamba fossa, and we use a needle to remove, to exclude some of the gases from the rumen. After treating, because I told you when we are treating, we do what we call symptomatic treatment. Under symptomatic treatment, it's when you will treat the signs and symptoms that you see. After treating the signs and symptoms, then you treat the real disease. So under bloat, what you have to do as the first thing you have to do is to remove the gases from the stomach. So we, in most cases, use the needle locally. We get the needle, the lock needle that we use, then you remove the behind part, you leave it when it's empty, you pierce the animal from the left pararamba fossa where I have told you, then you exclude the gases out of the rumen. After removing the gases, you reduce on the pressure and the compression in the stomach. Then what do you do after doing that? You use sodium bicarbonate. Sodium bicarbonate can easily be locally got from the baking powder that is used to make pancakes, because it is indicated soda bicarb, it has sodium bicarbonate. So you get that sodium bicarbonate, you mix, you give your animal orally. After mixing, then you do away with bloat. You also give an antibiotic to that animal.
Let's go for a commercial break. There is still more to come.